Welcome to the Let Me Call You Back podcast. My name is Declan Brooks, an aspiring comedian and podcaster based in the Philadelphia area. Each week, we talk with my brother Raymond, or one of the many friends I've made out on the road traveling for work all over the country. We catch up on daily happenings, crazy news, or whatever we find funny that day. If you enjoy what you hear on this podcast, you can also find it on Patreon. Please enjoy.
I heard you guys talking about movies earlier.
Always talking about movies with the comics.
I hope some of what we just started talking about recorded on that Audacity, but if not, I'm going to make sure I reintroduce here. This is the Let Me Call You Back podcast. We are doing an episode right after I'm in my truck. Yep, that's it. That's the truck right there.
Oh, is that telling me I got to turn my seatbelt on? Is it one of those?
It's actually me.
I think it's real annoying when you're riding with someone and the passenger and they don't have their seatbelt on, but your car is still doing it. It's like, dude, if the passenger wants to fucking die, that's on them. Like, I get it. I get the seatbelt thing's going for the driver. I mean, I don't, but whatever. Mm-hmm. But the passenger ones, that really gets me. It's like, dude, chill with that noise.
Yeah, man, Big Red talks twice when you get in the car and you don't put your seatbelt on. That's what I call my car, is Big Red.
Oh, man.
Trying not to use the windshield wipers because they're going to ruin this episode if I do. But
hey.
We are venturing through Phoenixville.
Just past the Colonial Theater, famous for the Blob movie. We were just talking about movies or whatever.
Yeah, dude. The Blob Fest comes there every year, right?
Yeah, and that's just not talking about all the fat people that walk down the street. That is actually a movie festival for the Blob.
That's not a Brooks family reunion. That's actually a festival every year in Phoenixville called the Blob Fest because apparently the first airing of that movie was there. Is that what it was?
I believe that, or I think they filmed some of it there.
Yeah, something like that.
I think there's a famous scene where, like...
What'd you drop?
I dropped the roach.
Reefers. Damn it, dude. Reefer Madness. I'm surprised they didn't film Reefer Madness in that place.
Wait. I thought I saw one.
There was a comedian that I saw. I was working at an event. You know who Joe Conklin is? Obviously.
Philadelphia's famous Joe Conklin for his improv, his impressions. Yeah. Joe Conklin and I, two white Philadelphia comics known for their Joel Embiid impressions.
Oh my god, dude. His Joel Embiid impression is so goddamn racist.
It's pretty, yeah.
It's pretty bad, dude.
I mean, mine's rough too. I acknowledge that I'm doing black voice.
Yeah.
At least, and that in 2024, I don't know if that's all right.
You ever heard him do Joel Embiid and then Charles Barkley back to back? It's like, man, Joe.
It's like, hey, bud, I love you, and I get that you've been doing this for a long time, so you're grandfathered in, but it's kind of at the point where, like, I don't think you can keep doing this on WIP and get away with it. Like, I love you, I grew up listening to you, but it's like, this is rough right now.
Yeah, man. I saw him at a Parks Casino event. They were like opening.
He does his shows there, right?
They were doing a Parks Casino, the new app opening event, and they were like, "Let's have Joe Conklin come in here and spit some racial slurs." It's what it felt like happened. It was a bunch of like old degenerate white dudes that gamble at Parks Casino, and they're like,
"It's Joe funny Conklin's when he does the voices."
Yo, you ever hear him make fun of Charles Barkley?
You know, Charles Barkley named his daughter after a mall. What kind of fucking... And you're like, if you say Moulignan right now, I can see the way your mouth's moving. It's like, dude, you can't... These old guys, man.
Dude,
it's aggressive. It's
this is a complete... Remember, I was telling that joke earlier being an accidentally, like, misogynist, racist pig? My sweet old grandmother used to say Moulignan. I didn't know that it was a bad word. And I thought I was just, like, you know, keeping up the culture, being like, gabagool, Moulignan.
I had no
idea. I was just being vehemently racist.
I was like, yeah, dude, filet mignon. Yeah, of course, dude, filet mignon. Like, I had no idea.
Ricotte, racial slurs.
Yeah, ricotte, pepperon, mozzarella, ricotte.
Mozzarella. Take it.
Moulignan, take it, yeah. No, like, I didn't know.
That fucked up.
I didn't even hear that word, Moulignan, until college. In Reading, Pennsylvania. With the baseball guys,
It means purple.
The guys from New Jersey.
Means purple eggplant.
But there are a lot of racist guys on the baseball team, and so they would they would throw Moulignan around. Yeah, so it's just like you're calling like, hey, that guy looks like an eggplant. It's like, dude, you sound stupid and racist, and I'm not sure which is worse.
It's a very
honestly.
creative way to be racist. I'll tell you what. Comparing things to vegetables. Usually racists don't eat vegetables. They usually just eat like potatoes and meat.
You're like,
I didn't even know you what an eggplant was, dude.
I'm racist and I'm vegan. I'm not sure which is more annoying, but I'm gonna get you.
No, but just in case this didn't record properly earlier here, we just left an open mic that Dan runs. Where is that at, Dan?
That is at the Boardroom Restaurant and Bottle Shop, 101 Bridge Street in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, home of the CEO Comedy, certified entertainment only open mic every Wednesday, hosted by myself or a friend if I can't make it.
They're also home of the Certified Slammer. This is an off-menu item. If you buy 3 cheeseburgers, you are allowed to take the buns apart and stack all 3 together. They aren't telling you to do this, but I'm doing it when I go there.
That is honestly...
I didn't do that, but
that one
giving you Dan, you got an idea now.
That's one of the hottest things I've ever heard someone say. I'm like,
dude, fact
you just
science.
described, yeah. I'm like, wait, I had to stop and think about it for a second. I was like pulling a fucking little Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind with some fat math there.
This guy's been doing the math.
I was like, this guy just described the Carmen Electra of hamburgers. Hold on a second, I'm slightly aroused.
Shit, dude.
Oh, God.
Oh, shit, dude.
Am I going to go to a Fuddruckers tonight and build my own?
A triple stack bar and grill burger, dude. Not even like a fucking McDonald's. Not even like you took a McDonald's. Like, you ever make a McGangbang when you were growing up?
I was a young stoner once.
Right? You take the fucking... Dude, when I was coming up, you know, back in my day when I was still banging, dude,
back when I was coming up through A-ball and smoking.
What I remember specifically was that it wasn't a McDouble and a McChicken. The first time we tried it, it was 2 cheeseburgers. We took the bun from one, bottom of one, put the middle in it like it was a Big Mac,
yeah.
McChicken on the next layer, bun from the burger on top, wipe the mayonnaise on the top, like whatever it was. The McChicken's like in the middle, or like whatever it was. The mayonnaise from the McChicken gets wiped onto one of the burgers. You don't waste anything. All right. Then my fat ass would
We're like
eat the
Native
bread.
Americans of fast food.
Yeah,
we don't
dude,
waste
we use the skin, we use the mayonnaise, we use the lettuce, we use the McChicken patty. I used to eat, dude, every time I'd make like a McGangbang, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna waste the bread, dude. There's sauce on there. It's got burger grease on there.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's slightly toasted.
It's like eating a potato chip with the right seasoning on it. This is Fat Guy Hour. Welcome to Fat Guy.
I put ketchup on some potato chips when I was a kid.
Oh, I used to eat the potato chips and mustard.
Oh, interesting.
Did you ever do that?
No, I didn't fuck with mustard until very recently.
Somebody told me it. My mom showed it to me, and it was apparently like a low carb snack. You know, fats are always just inventing ways to eat shit. You know what I mean? They're like, Atkins, how about I finger a chicken wing in my asshole and try to lose some weight? You know what I mean?
Dude, I was raised by a divorced dad, so I was on the divorced dad diet growing up, and
hella hungry man.
That's a lot of fat meals.
Salisbury steaks. Pizza rolls.
One of my dad's go-to snacks on a weekend.
Chili.
You know, like Saturday afternoons where you're just like watching sports or like movies with your dad.
Tell me, Dad.
My dad.
Tell me what it is.
No, it's not even. One of his ones was just like the ground beef melted cheese, like kind of nacho dip into the Tostitos. But one of his real go-tos, the sick one that kind of just like still gets me. I'm just like, oh, I can't believe I love him, but like how much of this I just saw my boy fucking throw down. Cheese curls dipped in a big bowl of ketchup.
Dude, cheese curls being dipped in something is fucking garbage, Dan. That's fucking
I'm
insane.
white trash, dude.
I know,
my dad would dip cheese curls in ketchup, and that was like
my dad was a dumbass. He would my mom and him, they both worked, and occasionally it'd be like my mom would do like a craft fair on a weekend, and like where she'd do something on the weekend where he was in charge of the kids, and like every time he would always cook these like cockamamie fucked up things. He's like, yeah, we made Scooby snacks. I got gumdrops. I got some tasty cakes. I got some marshmallows. We rolled the marshmallows out, got toothpicks. We put everything on there, and then I told them they were Scooby snacks, and they ate that for lunch. I swear to God, that's one of a personal memory with my father.
Oh my God.
One time,
legend.
he woke up one time in the middle of the night, and my other brother was awake, and he was just fat too. And he woke up and shout out to Raymond, the cohort of this episode.
I like how you said your brother woke up one night in the middle of the night and he was just fat too.
Yeah, so
the way you implied it was like before he went to bed that night, he was skinny, the only skinny person in your family. But he woke up in the middle of the night and he's like,
oh shit!
No, it happened to me too.
So, They're both dumbasses. They get up. They're like, we should make a cake right now. All right, it's middle of the night. My brother's probably like 6, maybe 8 years old, and my dad was like, let's make a cake. Yeah, my dad hasn't smoked pot. I think he like took gummies in the past couple of years. I won't nail that down to keep him safe from persecution or prosecution.
Just like, hey rascal, you're up.
Yeah, now
you want to bake a cake?
Dude, he made a yellow cake, or maybe a rum cake. I forget what he made, but
dude,
it was this was fucked up. My mom was like, "What pan did you use?" He's like, "One of the pans in the cabinet, it's right under there. I just grabbed it and then I made it in there. I read the book and made it." My mom's like, "Did you clean it?" He's like, "No, they were clean." She's like, "No, they weren't." She's like, "All of those pans are dusty. I know for a fact because I went to go use one the other day and I didn't use it because they were dusty, and I cleaned the other one that I normally use." So my dad made a cake, and him and my brother ate a cake in the middle of the night that had a large amount of dust in it.
Dust cake?
Dust cake. Yeah, it was a good cake.
It's like, oh, this tastes like Grandpa.
Yeah, right. Why does this cake taste like our cat? Tastes like skin and Grandpa.
What's the worst thing you probably like family would have as a like go-to kind of meal you think was back in the day?
Well, when you were mentioning dad snacks, the first thing I thought of was my dad loved chili with a saltine cracker and butter on it.
Oh, my dad would fuck with the Wendy's chili hard back in the day.
Bro, I used to love it too. Like I used to love
a good chili.
Oh, my dad loved kipper snacks too.
Like cat food.
No. People would call it cat.
Sounds like cat food.
People would call it cat food, but it's a can of kippered fish fillets. Usually like a white fish of some sort. Oh. They're like this big, like a oval shaped can. You peel them back and you take little pieces of fish and you put it on a cracker. It's like smoked fish fillets.
Oh.
Yeah, my dad used to love that shit. Go-to dinners. My mom was actually a pretty good cook, so like I can't really say that she fucked anything up because like Italian food. My mom's completely Italian. She knocked the fucking socks off everybody that walked in the house.
Classic Sunday meatballs.
My one best friend, shout out to Zach Harrigan out there if you ever listen to this shit. He says my mom makes the best fried chicken. Hands down. We fucking housed a bunch of fried chicken at my house one day.
No one in my family really made fried chicken.
Dude, for as good as my mom is at cooking everything, she can't cook a steak to save her life.
I think my mom's the same way. She always relies on my stepdad to do the meats, and I don't know if it's like more like she like just to let him feel like the man around the house, or if it's just like she really just like, well, I've always just the guy's done the grill stuff, so like I never bothered with it.
My dad's very nostalgic. He likes certain things that like were like I guess the luxuries of his childhood. You ever seen the Chef Boardroom make your own pizza at home kit? It's a kit with dry ingredients and tomato sauce, and you add water. You make your own dough. You let it rest. Then you stretch it out on a pan. You pour the Chef Boardroom sauce over it. It comes with Parmesan cheese. You can add whatever toppings you want to it. And it's a make your own pizza kit.
I kind of remember that a little bit from the 90s, but we had Grandpa Sherman's pizza dough recipe.
Okay.
Or Sherwin, I can't remember. At some point in my past, or in our family's past, a Sherwin met a Sherman and got married. But I think it was Grandpa Sherman's fucking pizza dough recipe.
They were making schnitzels. You don't have a schnitzel recipe or something like that?
We might. We're pretty... oh man, we
both
got
those families sound like they're sure they hate
desserts
Jews.
And stuff. Yeah.
Sherwin and Sherman.
Yeah, right? I was like, dude...
Yeah, sure. We agree. Jewish people suck.
They're like, oh, yeah, in Central PA, in Lewistown, dude. They're like, hey, this is fuck the Amish.
Man can make a hell of a pizza. Well, yeah. What are you?
So
what are you? What did you go off as?
Quick finish there. Yeah, Grandpa Sherman's pizza dough recipe. So we were always like, that was one of his things. Like we'd have pizza a lot, and you go to the Hut in the '90s, but he would because it was cheaper, just like make our own a lot. So he'd make some dough.
Or you feel like your reading button.
Yeah.
Shout out to the reading button of the OG Pizza Hut, dude. Fill that fucker out, get a free personal pan.
Oh my god, dude.
Remember that shit?
90s Pizza Huts were the best. The jukebox, little arcade, the salad bar.
So, what's your nationality? What did you go?
So my dad's side, we are pretty much Scots-Irish.
Okay.
With like a tiny bit Native American, because I think a grandma, or like great-great-grandma, obviously not grandma, married into like a Native American tribe. but I don't think that really like affected us.
She was a cool grandma.
She was
pretty great.
She was pretty chill, yeah. She's like, yo, screw you guys and it's a stupid Western society. I'm living in nature.
You ever seen what they do with scalps? It's pretty fucking awesome.
Dude, have you heard their...
Your grandmother's just a crazy rate. Like, she just left. She's like, you ever seen them scalp a motherfucker, dude? That shit's pretty awesome.
I'm not gonna lie.
Down with Whitey.
Smoking the weed and the drumming is pretty sick.
Yeah.
But have you seen them scalp a guy?
That's what was my question. What were they smoking in those peace pipes? Was it weed the whole time?
They're smoking peace, dude.
What is peace? It's weed, right?
Weed. I'm
Peace
sure there's some tobacco thrown in. Because after they started throwing tobacco
what
at
is
him,
peyote?
Oh, so peyote is like a cactus. Peyote is like more of something that will like make you trip, kind of like mescaline, I guess.
I was just gonna say, I always heard old heads say like, yeah, I used to take mescaline.
I used to do back in my day.
I took a lot of mescaline and I walked across the country 7 times.
I was seeing Aztec temples while I was Forrest Gumping my way across the world.
Dude, one of my best friend's dads actually was doing that. Did a 7 years going across the country when he was a leather tramp. He was backpacking across the country. Shout out to Big Mike Peterson.
Dude, that's crazy.
He's badass. He's got fucking just Polaroids of him all over the country, cooked up, having fun.
Dude, just
drinking,
walking everywhere,
hopping on trains, hopping in trucks. He said he went across the country 7 times.
That's sick. Oh, he's probably got some awesome stories back.
Yeah.
On my mom's side, we're also pretty heavy Scots-Irish. We just learned this. So she grew up, she was an orphan in New Jersey. And their laws, you couldn't find out your birth records until X amount of years after something happened or whatever.
What part of Jersey?
South Jersey.
I grew up in South Jersey. I grew up in East Greenwich.
So we would visit my grandparents a couple places. Leisure Town was a place they lived in for a little while.
Curious where that's at.
I think that's the second place. That's like what the retirement kind of place they lived in. But the first place they lived in wasn't too far from there. Medford.
Oh, okay,
I think they lived around Medford.
Yeah, Leisure Town is Southampton Township, which is where the fuck is Southampton? It's like on the other side of Mount Laurel.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I grew up just south of that, the next county down.
Oh, okay. My grandpa would always take us. Well, not always, but he would multiple times. He took us there, and it was always the greatest thing. We went and visited my grandparents. He took us to the Mount Laurel Funplex back in the day.
Nice.
And that thing was the sickest when you were a kid growing up, because it was everything. It was.
I always wanted to go there.
Oh, you never went?
No,
you lived there?
Well, I lived in different parts of South Jersey, and we had different stuff that was kind of like our funplex type places. Like, we had Skater's Choice. Did you ever hear of Skater's Choice?
Was that like one of the
It was in like
inline skating and like skate park places?
Not really. It was like 4-wheel like an actual skate place, and kids would go there for their birthdays, and it was like a
skating
oval
rink.
skate. Yeah, and then like on the other side there was hockey.
I thought you meant like a when you said 4-wheeler, I was like, dude, you guys were riding 4-wheelers. Like such so Jersey.
No, dude, I used to love that shit. We used to go to Skater's Choices for birthdays and shit.
I sprained my ankle at a cousin's in middle school in like 7th grade at a cousin's birthday party at a skate place. Skating, not rollerblading, skating. And my dad, I got so bullied by my dad for that. He thought it was so weak that I sprained my ankle roller skating, and for a month I was hobbling around the house on this fucked up ankle before he would like take me to a doctor and get it looked at. And then when the doctor told him like my dad was like a sprain and not a break, he looked at me like I was the biggest pussy in the world. And that's like my story of roller skating.
So we'll hit a couple of the podcast questions because I have some main questions I always ask comedians. Dan, how long have you been a comedian?
I'm in my 4th year now.
Okay.
Yeah, 2020 I started.
Nice.
Holy shit.
What made you want to become a comedian, or what made you want to start doing comedy? Because is that your goal to be a big time comedian out there in the world?
I don't know if it's necessary to be a big time comedian out there in the world, but certainly making comedy or it's like being in it in some part and facet as your career. That's kind of the goal for me. Like having that be my
part of my livelihood.
Yeah, my main livelihood and like means of existence. I can't be in an office my whole life. I'm not a desk jockey.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's not like I would so much rather just enjoy doing this. This is awesome. You get to hang out with great people. You get to make audiences laugh. If you're getting books like a lot of people's goals is you get to travel, see different places.
Yeah.
So it's just awesome. But in general, I've always kind of wanted to do comedy since I was really, really little.
I said this on stage the other day. I was like, you guys remember being sick? You stay home and you'd watch, like Dr. Phil, Maury, all that. And then around 11:30, Comedy Central Presents would come on.
Yeah.
And you'd start watching comedy till probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock. And then the shitty parts of Comedy Central came on until they started playing Scrubs forever. Remember when that was the lineup? It was Comedy Central
their
and
entire
Scrubs.
afternoon became Scrubs and Futurama.
I loved it, bro.
It's pretty sick. Because I fuck with both those shows.
Yeah. It really made me love comedy. I used to watch a lot of Comedy Central Presents specials, like 30-minute sets, and so I remember how I saw Patrice O'Neal the first time.
To a lot of people.
Ralphie May, the original Fluffy Gabriel Iglesias. I was
gonna say that's when all those guys are big, and like Attell, obviously like Geraldo.
Yep.
Like then they had the roast and stuff. Yeah, dude, Insomniac, and David Attell and Geraldo I thought were like the coolest guys in the world around that time, and Chappelle. But he was more like because of Chappelle's show than the stand-up, I think, at that point in time. And I knew him, obviously, from, like, The Nutty Professor and Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, those were...
Half-baked.
Yeah. Well, like, talking about, like, wanting to do this since I was a kid. Like, I remember, like, seeing Robin Hood Men in Tights in, like, first grade. And, like, getting introduced to Mel Brooks. And, like, just thinking, like, that was the funniest stuff in the world. And, like, Jim Carrey as a kid. And then, like, always watching, like... Nick at Night, and like those shows were funny. Like just being on the TV and being funny, like was just always seemed like the coolest thing in the world as a kid.
Yeah,
so
I said this a couple times on here that like what made me like the thing that made me really start wanting to do it was Kill Tony. I just started listening to it. I was like, dude, all these people that suck, just try this. This is how an open mic works. Like,
you're like I can
do that, and like I listened to it for years, and I just would romance it. Hear people do it for years, and I'd romance it. And this was probably like. Ages like 23 through 26, and then my 27th birthday is when I decided to do comedy. But I think about like my entire life as the type of person I've been very outgoing, very friendly, very talkative. My dad always told me I had diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah, the gift of gab.
Yeah, my one time when we were down the shore when I was a kid, my dad said, "Go around, put your hand out like this, like and for the listeners at home." Take your hand, put it out flat in front of you like you're asking for a tip. That's what my dad would tell me. He would say, go around the bar and say, I'll tell you a joke if you give me $1. And I would go around, and I was a little kid, and I did it until someone gave me $1, and I told him a knock joke. I remember doing this as a kid, but my dad told me, he's like, oh yeah, it was hilarious. You were going around talking to people in the bar we were drinking in. You were getting $1 here and there and telling shitty knock jokes to people.
He's like, you bought around for your pop.
He pretty much is what I heard.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, let me see that 5. It was like,
you've been a paid comic.
Yeah, right. I don't remember what jokes I told. What it was. It was knock who's there? Check. Right. I was probably a little kid. They tell the story now. It all just came flying back. I was saying, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? And I was a little kid, and when I would say it, I would go, and I would like dance around the room. So I was doing this over and over again. And people were just like, look at this little fucking weirdo.
Give him $1 and make him do his chicken dance.
Yeah, it's pretty much what they were doing. I'm like, oh God, it just came screaming back when I thought about it. Yeah, it was at the Circle
You've
Bar.
always been performing, dude. Like you've been like a ham. I get that.
Yeah, I'm a very shy ham. I'm a very humble ham. I don't like being a ham.
I get that.
In the right parties, I'll be a ham. In most cases, I'm very humble and respectful. It takes you a while to kind of
test the waters and be comfortable around people.
Not a while. It's just that I'm respectful of people, and sometimes hams can be overwhelming immediately.
Too much, yeah. It's like,
but if you test the waters, you tell what people need. You go fucking, let me start chugging Baileys and start getting weird at this party.
Things are getting weird real fast.
People didn't know I just drank an entire cup of Baileys, and they probably wouldn't like it.
But Papa's about to have a real good time.
I've been slowly drinking High Lifes. You're like,
I just
I've had
slammed
some
2
funny
Four
shit.
Locos in the fucking broom closet. Shit's about to get turned.
I know you guys think I just walked outside to smoke a cigarette, but I did drugs as well.
I actually intravenously
right now.
injected.
I talk about your 20s. No, man. I like asking the main tenant questions of the podcast. What's your favorite comedy moment so far?
Oh, favorite comedy moment.
4 years in, what's been your, like, have you had a peak yet that you liked? Did you have a moment working with someone specifically? Something crazy happened to you that you went, man, that was awesome. I love this shit.
Yeah, there was like a period where I was hosting shows kind of consistently, so you're getting and working at a comedy club, so you're getting to be around just good professional comics a lot. Just one specific moment that really stands out that I really like. Man, it's tough because it's like, do you go with like a hang moment or like a stage moment?
You can go with a hang moment. I'm cool with that. Trying to think what I would call one of my favorite moments so far.
Just getting to kind of like hang out.
I say
Andrew Dice Clay a little bit was kind of cool.
That's cool. I've heard he's hard to, like, he doesn't really hang with people when he does shows very often, so that's cool. I think so far for me, because I'm a year and a half-ish, a little more into this. This is a weird thing probably to say, but Lemaire Lee was a Philly comic until he moved to Austin recently.
Oh, I love Lemaire. Always loved smoking and hanging out with him at shows.
He's such a humble, nice guy, and he's directly connected with those, like
which
the mecca of comedy.
Which is rare for someone who's kind of quote-unquote like big in the Philadelphia scene, because like he was one of the first people like that in the Philadelphia scene that actually just talked to me like I was a normal person and comic and didn't treat me like I was like less than or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I've always loved and respected him for that. Mm-hmm. He just started talking to me, and we were talking, it was like movies or anime or something, and we were just smoking weed, and it was nice. It was like, wow, that was a very refreshing thing for like, because I was only like in my first year, and that's like when you start going to Philly mics and people treat you like crap.
When I first started comedy and I came to Philly, I started in Connecticut, and I made friends in Connecticut, and I had friends that were friends with him. And they were like, hey, you should have Pete Eckenroth, or you should hit up Lemaire Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 great comedians, 2 funny guys. I love both of them. Been great friends to me. I hit up Lemaire. Sup, skaters?
Sup, skaters?
I hit up Lemaire. He left me on red, and I saw him on a mic a couple of days later, and he came up to me and was like, hey, man, you're Declan, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you hit me up. I ghosted you on it. I'm sorry. He's like, I'm usually the person to always help people and give them advice, so my bad. I'm like, dude, you don't have to owe me an apology. He's like, yeah, but I want to tell you I'm sorry. I'm like, well, dude, nice to meet you. And he's always been cool to me since. And when I was up in Connecticut, I had a bar that I frequented from a mic that I go to called The Nook that asked me about them.
Sounds like a good dive bar.
No, it is. It's a great dive bar. Raw oysters on Wednesdays and shit. Great, they got a bluefish melt that'll blow your ass off, dude. It was the shit.
That sounds amazing.
Incredible. A smoked bluefish, like tuna melt. Only a
like
Jewish
1
rye.
fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish.
So,
yeah.
They knew Lemaire. They knew I was from Philly. They asked me about Lemaire and them.
Oh, that's
like,
cool.
and they're like, dude, do you think he would come up here? I'm like, I think he would definitely come up here. So then they reached out to him, and he came up. And they asked him if they knew me. And they said yes, and because he knew that, like, I, like, recommended them, he was like, hey, man, I know you go up here all the time. I appreciate that you recommended us to them. Like, do you want to open for us up here? So I got to open for Lemaire in my first year of comedy.
Oh, that's really
with him
cool.
in Dorian.
That's really cool.
Up at this place. And then afterwards, it was one of the coolest. This is like it sounds like such a Dick Eaton story, but like, the owner of the bar was like, Declan, you're the shit. I'm happy you got them up here, I got a camper at my house. They're all crashing in. It's like the performer's camper. You're invited to hang out there too. We got beers, weed, everything. Come by. So I got to open for them and then hang out with them and smoke a bunch of weed and drink.
Oh, that's awesome.
Up in fucking Connecticut or up in Massachusetts on the show that I did with them. One of the coolest moments of my first year. Like, Probably doesn't mean shit. I got paid
No,
like nothing. I got to drink and eat for free all night. I got to hang out with those guys, and like
that's an awesome moment when you're starting.
the
Like,
degree of separation from how
yeah.
successful they are is just like so. It's humbling.
it
You're
makes
like,
you-
I'm so
you're-
lucky.
when you're just doing that, like those moments are so big, dude. And you're like, oh man, it's not like I've made it, but you're like, oh, like I'm accepted. I'm part of this community.
Yeah.
I
I was at the stand in New York one night, and I was out watching a show, and they were all up there. And one of them called me over, like, yo, Declan's a Philly comic. Come on over here. Let me introduce you to him.
Oh,
And I
that's
got to
very
meet a bunch of
cool.
New York comics with them in a circle. Like, you know, like, got to meet Gardini. Got to meet, like, Andre Kim. Got to meet a couple other people, like, hanging out in the circles. Lev Fur. Like, it was cool. And, like, so, like, it's been a fun networking year. Because, like, as long as you keep yourself humble and you're willing to, like, meld yourself to people, not like change yourself, you know, talk shit and be like a two-face with people, but like if you're willing to like be comfortable with everything and receive everybody in communication, it's a very fun thing, networking in comedy, in my opinion.
Yeah, like if you go like if you don't have energy like that kind of first comic did at the mic that we did tonight, like, and you're just kind of like get like just hostile towards other comics, like this is a cool thing that like we're all pursuing and passionate about, like, and there's a lot of cool people and from all walks of life that are like pursuing it. So
Yeah. I heard there was a comic that used to walk around the Philly scene with cards that said "quit." Did you ever hear about that guy?
No.
Someone told me about it the other day, and they're like, "Oh, he's a pretty good comic. He kind of sucks now and kind of like plateaued." And I heard he used to walk around handing out these cards that said his name and say "quit."
Yeah, because he was tired of seeing people come up and surpass him.
You know what a cornball?
Yeah, what a fucking loser, dude.
Right? I was thinking about it. I was like,
Ugh.
I was thinking about just handing out cards and said I'm fat.
Dude, there are some people like that in the scene. I guess this is a typical thing of any comedy scene where it's just like, you're like, wow, this person's been doing it that long, and this is all they're at. All they're ever going to be is just like a person in the Philly scene, and like that's like what they're hanging their hat on. That's their calling card, and it's just like they don't have anything else but that. But it's like, but on top of that, they're just like a prick or a cunt or whatever. It's just like you could be a lot nicer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought about this. I glanced over the whole. You hung out with Dice Clay. What did you do? Host for him? That's awesome.
No, so I was on a Souljoel show. It was a night where Souljoel had 2 shows, and the first one was like Andrew Dice Clay, and I forget, like probably like Dan Callahan.
Yeah.
And then like Eleanor Kerrigan. And or it might have, honestly, that was probably one where it was literally like it just went Joel and then Eleanor and Dice.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 30 minutes after that show, there's a second show, like a late night show, and it was me. I think it was probably Dan Callahan hosting, or against like Souljoel hosting, and then I did a guest spot. Oh yeah, so I think that went Souljoel host, me doing a guest spot, and then Dan Callahan or someone else doing like a feature or something, and then Steve Byrne.
Oh, that's cool. That's
And
a lot of cool comedians.
Yeah, it was a wild night. It was only like the second or third time I'd been booked on a show.
Early in comedy?
Early in comedy.
First year?
Around then.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I don't even know if I'd been at my first year anniversary kind of yet.
Nice.
And like we had a couple months coming up on it, and it was just so sick. Steve Byrne was like working on his special that he kind of recently put out, and he had also recently done a documentary on the Amazing Jonathan, who I had been a big fan of, like growing up and be like a comedy fan. He was like a hilarious comedy magician.
Okay,
and his stuff was always on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I do remember that
loved
shit.
it. This just thought it was so funny, so witty. It was like, yeah, that whole thing, like his whole show, his whole act. I just loved The Amazing Jonathan, and he put out an awesome documentary on him. And after the show, it was like one of those things. You're like, you're really shy, but you're like, I did a show. I want to get a picture with Steve Byrne. I'm a big fan of Steve Byrne. He directed like a around that time too, where he just directed and put out the stand-up comedy movie about like a young guy who's doing mics and becoming like a comic.
Oh, what the fuck is it called? The stand-up.
The stand-up with Burr and Tom Segura have hilarious cameos in that.
Yeah.
So it was around the time he put that out and like the Amazing Jonathan thing. So it's just like got this like, hey, this is awesome to meet you and do the show with you, like get a picture and like congrats on like directing the movie and like, and then I said like thank you for like putting that Amazing Jonathan documentary out, and he's like, oh, you watched that, you liked it. We had like a little moment. He's like, thank you for watching that. So I was like, that was really cool. Like Steve Byrne couldn't be like a nicer guy. And then like it was just a like, thing where like the Dice stuff was like we were working with Soul Joel, and so like the couple of us with Soul Joel and like Eleanor Kerrigan and Dice and his little crew went out to the Collegeville Bakery in Collegeville at the pizza place, and after they like closed up and like went in and had like a little dinner,
A little pizza party with
Dice Clay. That was kind of cool.
All right, keeping up with the theme, what is the first joke that you told, or what is the joke that you told to people when they said to you, oh, you're a comic, tell me a joke?
Man, first joke I told.
Or answer both questions.
Yeah, that's going way back, so I don't know if I'll... It's like on stage or just in life?
Just if you could reference the first joke you think you were telling or told, what do you think? Can you remember one? That's why I
That's hard, because it's like...
Because I referenced...
I'm trying to think of like stuff from like when you were a kid, like the...
Yeah, I know.
At like the table.
The pot rod doesn't help either.
Oh, you know what? One I can remember is like just stupid stuff with your dad. It's like like watching Star Wars and stuff, and you made like a masturbation Han Solo joke. So just like that, and it's like, oh, I made my dad laugh, and it's like, like because he's a big, like he's into comedy, and like he loved Kinnison and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
So, like he had a good taste for comedy.
That's funny.
So it's like that kind of like you would go and see comedy movies and stuff with him. So like that's kind of like you picked up on stuff. So yeah, it's like if I could make my dad laugh, and like growing up, like divorced, like things like bad, like a gallows humor, you're always kind of like laughing at stuff and like cheering each other up and picking each other up. So like,
did you live with your dad mostly?
Yeah, he had custody.
Okay.
And like my mom was like once a week for dinner and every other weekend.
That's pretty surprising for like the the late 90s.
Well, normally it's the other way around.
Yeah, I know.
So it was
your mom must have been a piece of shit. I'm kidding. That's so fucked up to say. It was the first thought that came to my head.
No. It's not it's a piece of work, maybe more like. But no, she was working and she was more of a career like.
Fuck that kid.
Well, kind of my mom. Like we love my mom. We've talked about this, but like at that point in her life, she was kind of more.
Hey man, dude,
career than the kids, but like the career was able to do more for the kids.
Was she a minor league baseball pitcher?
No, it was like she was like.
Is that why you love baseball?
No,
I just always wanted my mom to love me.
My dad was actually into baseball. He got scouted by like the Indians and the Phillies.
Yeah, my dad got scouted by Phillies farm system and stuff. I know what you're talking about. My dad.
He was like a lefty that could throw like in the high 80s back at that time. So they were like, "Oh my God, you're like Randy Johnson."
My dad was an ambidextrous pitcher from North Philly.
What? Yeah. That's insane.
He would pitch 7 days straight, like, and he would like take 3 days off. He said his arm. He said he used to feel like his arms were gonna fall off.
Oh, what was his name? He's like Pat Van D or Pat. It's something with a V. I was just talking about him. He was in the Yankees system a couple of years ago. He was actually pitching in like AAA or whatever. Like he could do with both hands.
He used to throw his curveballs with both hands at batting practice.
That's
it was
ridiculous.
Fucked up.
I'd be like, stop it. I'm like, get out of here. Are you a magician?
This is such a people talk
what
about
a flex.
Like, people talk about this like sounding like some fucked up trauma, but I laugh at it. But like, my dad coached us in baseball growing up, and like, say we would swing at a bad pitch, you know, he's teaching you character and like a mentality and what being lazy is, and he'd go like, hey, you swung at a bad pitch, that's being lazy. You do it again, you're gonna run a lap.
Oh.
You do that again, after you ran a lap, I'm gonna hit you with a ball. You can't get out of the box. You have to stand in.
He was not fucking around. Oh my God!
All right. And when I hit you for the ball, you're doing another lap. So it wasn't anything farther than that. He didn't like beam us and like we're like, I'm sorry, Dad. Like it's not like something like that. I swear to God.
He was like I'm gonna try to make
teaching you.
A lot of you guys quit.
He was teaching you a lesson. He's like teaching us to be hard, teaching us you don't want to run laps, teaching you don't swing at a lazy pitch.
Taking you to
look for the good pitch and swing at the right one.
Learn how to wear one too.
Learn how to wear one.
No, that's a good coach.
Good
dad.
So it's a fucked up lesson learned from your dad, dude. And I went to school one day with bruises on my arm, and my gym teacher goes like, "What's up with your arm?" I'm like, "Oh, batting practice." My dad said, "What do you mean batting practice?" I was like, "I swung at a bad pitch." She goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Calls my mom like, "What the fuck is George doing to your kid?"
Oh, I talked about it at the mic tonight. I joked about it, how like I got the belt as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was spending the night at a buddy Trevor's house. Trevor Richards, who I was like good friends with at the time, and like was always hanging out at the house. And it was like they had a pool in the backyard, and we were like, let's go swimming. So it was like had to change our suits. So it was like it was like a thing when you're like middle school and you're like younger and you're hanging out at your boy's house. It's like, all right, you go to that side, like the fucking room. I'm going to this side. Like, no one look. We're gonna change our suits or whatever. Yeah. And I guess like Trevor, while we were changing into our bathing suits, like caught a glimpse of my recently fucking beat backside, and saw all the bruises up and down my ass and legs.
Oh God.
And he goes, "What's that?" Because like naturally you're like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, like I was like on the spot. I was very much aware of like something very bad could happen to my dad, and they take me away, and I love my dad even though this happened, like Stockholm syndrome, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
But I was just like,
you're aware of it because
yeah. And so I told him that I fell on a pile of sticks, and because I didn't know what else to like and explain like the shape and stuff, and so we're like, everything's fine. We're about to go down swimming, and he went down before me, and like a minute or two.
Yeah.
So I go down, and he's in like the little like kitchen area with his parents, and like they're watching NASCAR. They're big NASCAR guys, and we're about to go in, and he was telling his parents about like he's like, he's got all these bruises up. And he's like, and he fell on a pile of sticks. Like, you won't believe it. Like, and you could see like his parents
their faces
not
like,
believing the lie. They're like, oh God. And I was just like, hey, how about fucking cannonballs, right? Like, swimming's going to be... let's not talk about that.
That's crazy,
I was
dude.
like, why the fuck would you tell your parents? Like, I got pissed at him. I was like, God.
Yeah.
I was like,
dude,
like more pissed at him for telling his parents than I was at my dad for doing it, you know?
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, dude, that's funny. You never think of the mom being the career-oriented one in the.
It was like Mrs. Doubtfire. Like,
that's funny.
Except like Robin Williams wasn't her dad, and her mom wasn't as much of a bitchy lady.
Yeah, my dad wasn't dragging.
Yeah, and my stepdad wasn't Pierce Brosnan. He is a Purple Heart Marine, so pretty fucking cool.
There you go.
But he wasn't like a suave.
Cool stepdad.
Pretty cool.
It's the best part about divorce.
We didn't get along at first, but I think we grew on each other over time.
There you go. Where do they live?
They were in Harleysville for the longest time, but recently moved to Cape May Courthouse.
There you go.
Yeah, I got a nice little spot by the beach. Pop moved down to, during the pandemic, Fort Myers in Florida. Oh, quick, to answer your question. Go back, because you said first joke. What was the second one?
The second joke was, what's the joke you would tell people when they would say, oh, you're a comic? Tell me a joke.
One of my go-tos with that is like how my parents have 6 combined marriages, so it's like 6 rings, so like the Michael Jordan Hopeless Romantics, and because of all their mistakes, I have a brother, 2 half-brothers, 2 step-brothers, and 3 step-sisters, but I haven't fucked a single one of them. So like Pornhub's been lined with all these past couple of years, so I just gotta like step my game up.
Oh, that's funny.
That was like one of the first ones I had.
That's hilarious. Yeah, a lot of times when I ask people that, they're like, oh, I like to say my favorite street joke. Which, somebody, I think Mike Racine said it on this podcast. And then I heard someone use it on stage at a show recently, and I was like, you shitbag.
Oh, no.
It was it's one of those, I don't know how this guy got away with doing this on stage. He did my dad always told me to stop jerking off or I was going to go blind.
No.
Yeah, an old head comic.
Old heads do that, though.
Yeah, but that's not a fucking excuse.
Well, I know it.
Like, I'm old. I'm just trying to be funny.
Well,
like,
no, I'm not excusing him. I'm saying, like, it's
a
common thing with them. This guy who was hosting this mic I did last Thursday was doing other comics material, like Robin Williams and, like, Kinnison and whatever.
Oh, I've seen old heads do Carlin.
Reddit jokes.
That's funny.
It was like he's doing meme jokes combined with other famous comics jokes.
I watched a guy do a bunch of Carlin jokes.
No, you can't be.
It was crazy. Like
ones that everyone can recognize, and like, because like I was with a couple other comics, and we were like, oh wait, that's a joke. I was like, that's a Robin Williams joke. I was like, that's another Robin Williams joke. And they got to the point of, like, we were all like typing in like his setups, and like knowing the punchlines before he was saying, we're like, oh, that was done on 2016 in Reddit or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like old heads just, I guess.
Comedy's funny, man. It's a game, dude. Everybody's trying to get better at it. You're trying to learn. You're trying to get better at it. You're trying to be original.
What's your favorite kind of just like street joke or stock joke? Like just one that like, or like you heard from like your uncle or whatever back in the day?
I used to love this one. My dad would say, if somebody would say something smart to him, like, oh, is that so? And he'd say, yeah, and if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle.
I like that.
I used to love that. It's like, I'd be like, Dad, that's so neat.
My dad had so many silly, like just silly, dumb, like dad jokes, and like, no, that's a knee slapper, as he would say, or whatever. Like, but one of my favorite jokes, a teacher at boarding school told us this freshman year. Mr. Linquist, he was our dorm parent, and he would come out with like a little drink. And he's like, oh, this is my apple juice or whatever. I'm like, oh, can we get some of your apple juice? Mr. Linquist was like, nah, this is
my special apple juice.
Yeah. Because we were like little 9th grade punks or whatever. But he's very cool with us. His wife was cool. They had like just cool kids, a cool family. But one of his jokes, and he was always fucking around with us, tells us jokes. But one of my favorites, like ever, is he was told us, and it was just like, it's like, so this guy walks into a bar with his pet octopus. And he's just like, my pet octopus is an incredible musician. He's like, you put any instrument in front of my pet octopus, he's gonna play it. He's like, I bet any of you guys that drink in here, you know, that pretty much. And bartender's like, well, we got a piano over in the corner, like, bet you can't play the piano. So like octopus goes and like sits up on the chair and looks at it for like a second, and then immediately kind of just like starts playing some Mozart. Like, no way. And like the guy gets a beer, and this other guy's like, well, I got a guitar right here, bet you can't play that. The fucking octopus can't play the guitar. So the octopus like goes over, he picks up the guitar, and he's like kind of looking at it a little longer than the piano. He's like taking his time, but then he starts like soloing Freebird. Like, oh my god, another beer for the guy. People are like starting to like, oh my god, like this guy's not fucking around. Like, I don't know, we got this guy in the corner. He goes, I got some bagpipes. Think you can play the bagpipes? So the octopus goes over the bagpipes. He's taking a lot longer than he was like than the guitar. His owner's starting to get concerned. He's never seen this before. He's never seen him this stumped with an instrument. He like goes over. He's like, hey man, what's the problem? You gonna play it? The octopus goes, play it. I want to fuck it.
That's funny, dude.
It's a longer one, but
no, but the delivery works for it. That's funny. That's a funny joke.
It's kind of like a Norm joke.
Yeah. Oh god, dude. There's been so many Norm clips going around recently. People were talking about him like saying that joke at him. He's like, I'm not gay. I'm deeply closeted.
Oh, it's so good.
And then somebody will
and
be
then
like,
keeps going.
And then somebody will say, "So you're gay?" But whoa, 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 buddy, whoa. The joke is him going, "Whoa."
Yeah, it's
like
how
denying
dare you?
it, denying it.
How dare you?
The joke is him denying it.
Yeah,
it's so funny. Like, whoa, 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 I'm not gay. He would say it over and over. He said it on Conan. Conan was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then Larry King had him explain it on an episode. And Larry King was like, fascinating. It was like insane. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here, dude."
Larry King.
What's your favorite Philly
of all time?
You're
or
a
like
huge
right
Phillies
now?
fan. No, I mean, yeah, all time.
Dude, growing up, the man was the man. Like, it was Chase Utley. Like, he was the guy.
I'm surprised
loved Howard.
I'm surprised you're not a Michael Jack guy. People love Michael Jack Schmidt.
Well, when I grew up, it was like still a thing where like he was considered the greatest third baseman of all time, and like greatest Philly. You had reverence, but it was still like when like the city of Philadelphia was like they didn't like him.
I know.
Like, they liked him and loved him, but you know there's animosity towards Michael Jack for some reason, and you had heard about that and got that, so it was like okay. Plus he was like an old guy, so not an old guy, but it was like a guy that I didn't get to grow up with and watch. So like. I watched like every game of Chase Utley's career, and that team, that World Series team, like those, like watching that come together. That was around the time my dad had season tickets. We were going to games a lot. My dad and I were there the night they won the World Series.
We went to the city when they thought they were going to win the World Series, and it got rained out, remember?
Yeah,
we were outside the stadium waiting, and it got rained out.
Oh, no.
And so...
I was in. And on the way out, my dad was like, hold on to your ticket stub. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to hold on to this. But people not realizing that you were going to need the same ticket stub to come back when they resumed the Game 5. For anyone who doesn't know this that's listening, like Game 5 of the 2008 World Series got delayed from a rain delay, and they picked it up several days later. So everyone leaving the ballpark was like, hey, you need to hold on to your ticket to come back in when they pick it up a couple days later. But some idiots were like just throwing their tickets away or giving them out, or like these people outside were like, hey, I'll give you like for your stub.
I could be lying, but I'm almost 100% positive my dad was like, we're going to go to the city. And
that would have been so brutal.
Like, be outside the stadium for it, and then the rain delay happened.
Celebration.
It was either that, or it's either that, or I'm misremembering like another game that year.
No, that's what happened. That was.
I know, but I'm trying to remember the story because like. I remember leaving the stadium, but I don't remember going to a World Series game. I would have kept those tickets. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So like something makes me feel like
I
kind of almost remember
like you were gonna go and just hang out to be there from they wanted to be part of the celebration.
I remember going into the stadium. There was people coming out. Okay. That's the part.
Okay. Well,
that's the part that's weird.
That was the thing that you could do because it was like the game was over and stuff.
So
and
I'm not.
Your dad probably took you and walked you in.
We were walking around the side, and there was like a loading dock entrance, and they were watching the game on TVs.
Okay. Yeah, while you were just killing time watching the World Series, waiting for it to be over to win for the celebration. That makes sense. Yeah, you were definitely there at Game 5.
I remember it getting rained out, and then we walked back to the car, and nothing happened. And then we watched him close the game out at home. The 2 nights later.
Yeah. On
Brad Lidge. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Cole Hamels pitched 5 innings, shutout.
And then the rain, they stopped. They couldn't bring it back. I forget who was the first guy out of the pen, but it went.
Who the fuck was the bridge to Lidge?
Romero, Madsen, Lidge. That was the guys.
Ryan Madsen was a fucking mad man, dude. I loved the Phillies, man.
Lidge,
I have that entire
that call from Harry Callis.
Chris Coast. Chris Coast played such an integral part of being the backup catcher.
People forget about Coasty. His story, like the 29-year-old, 39-year-old rookie, great.
Third baseman and a catcher.
Yeah.
He could play the corner, and he backed up Carlos Ruiz. What a fucking incredible catcher for the career he had.
Oh, my God. I remember seeing him in Reading at one point, early in his career.
So, minor league baseball, you love it?
Yeah, I love it.
I've been to almost all the ones around us.
We would Dad would take us up to Reading a lot. I've worked for the Reading Phillies.
Did you?
Yeah, one of the best. I got paid.
When did you work there?
Right around the time I was in college, like 14, 15, 16, 17. So I got paid to watch like Aaron Nola, Reese Hoskins, all those guys come up through the system.
One of the best tickets worth the price in the country for a minor league baseball game.
One
of the best park. Dude,
it's the
tailgate
oldest ballpark in America.
And it's the highest rated minor league ballpark in the country.
It draws. They draw really well there.
It wins like the number 1 ballpark for minor league in the country, like over and over again.
And they just did a big upgrade. I can't recommend and say enough nice things about the R-Phillies.
Behind home plate. If you want to see a minor league behind home plate ticket with an unlimited tailgate bar, it's $38.
Yeah.
It might have gone up a little bit, but from the hour and a half before game time to the 7th inning, you have unlimited tailgate food and soda.
It's literally all you can eat: hot dogs, fries, burgers, and soda. It's incredible.
Oh my God, dude. It's one of the best games. Dude, me and my girlfriend went there, got sloshed, got rained out, ate a bunch of food. It was awesome.
You don't even need the game. And then you go, and it's like a night when one of the guys is hurt. And so you're seeing a celebrity, like a celebrity star.
Howard.
Yeah.
Ryan Howard at the Reading Phillies.
We saw him there when he was actually like on the team, like he was coming up.
Yeah.
Because you were like you would go to see the Phenoms, you know. We were on the first base side, and he hit a ball so far. It was right over the foul pole, and it should have been called a home run. I'm calling it foul, but just for the sheer distance, he should have called it fair, so it would have counted. You know how in Reading there's like the pool and the stands in right field, and then there's like behind the stadium. Then there's the street.
It's like a boardwalk.
And then across the street there's like that building.
Oh my God!
Ryan Howard put it on the roof of that building, if not over the building, and
like past the game walk and everything, right? All the way in the parking lot.
He literally put it into the building across the street.
Did you ever go to River Sharks games?
No.
Camden.
Passed it so many times. Always wanted to go. What we did do, Atlantic City Surf Games.
I never went to an Atlantic City Surf game.
Dude, Mitch Williams was the manager back in the day.
That's the Lakewood Blue Claws now, right?
No, they were unaffiliated.
Okay, I never went. Yeah,
Kind of like Camden.
I didn't even know anything about the surf.
And like the Long Island Ducks.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely went to Trenton Thunder. Definitely went. Dude, we went up to. We were younger. My dad took us to Cooperstown one year. We stayed at a Yogi Bear campground, and he made it a point to drive to Oneida, New York, to see the Oneida Tigers.
Yeah.
So I've seen the Oneida Tigers.
Oh wow.
I have balls signed from single A players that never went anywhere.
Yeah.
Just for no reason.
But it's just part of the mascots.
Mm-hmm.
There's something so beautiful in
Americana
about minor league baseball. I have a lot of.
I look up games when I travel for work.
Oh yeah, I want to go check out a place. The Savannah Bananas are coming to town this summer, and do you want to go? I'll go.
I would do it.
Yeah.
100%. Yo, I would 100% go to Savannah Bananas game. Yo, the Toledo Mud Hens. I went there this summer.
Oh,
my parents,
in
my
Michigan?
parents live in Ann Arbor, and it's 50 minutes north of Toledo.
My dad and I have done a couple, and I've done a couple baseball road trips.
Great
I
game.
always go Chicago, Detroit, with the stop at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland on the way there. But
Toledo was a great game.
always past Toledo, and I want to go, but we just haven't had that.
It was
time.
Bark in the Park. We brought my parents' dog. It was
Dude, Bark in the Park
fun.
in a minor league park is beautiful.
It was great.
Have you been to Charlotte?
No, I haven't.
That's my
Norfolk
bucket
Tide
list.
game.
Yeah, dude.
Norfolk Tide. Yo, that's a terrible stadium.
I was gonna say the
Have you been
Charlotte
there?
Stadium with the downtown behind it. No, Norfolk's terrible.
Yo, in the summer, it's a bowl, and the sun hits it wrong, so half the stadium gets too hot.
And you're just cooked.
Yeah,
No, you
bad,
can't.
dude.
I also
People know
worked-
it, so like when people don't get there in time and they get there from out of town, they pick the wrong seats.
Oh yeah.
Like we were there just
You're
visiting.
uncomfortable.
Oh man, it was bad.
I've also worked for the Richmond Flying Squirrels,
Okay.
and that was like as close to Eastbound and Down. Like
Did you live in Virginia for a little bit?
I worked for VCU.
Okay.
And covered in their athletic department.
Nice.
And so we had an in with the Flying Squirrels, and I was a baseball guy, I already had our Phillies experience, so I would go and work in the press box there. And the GM, manager, owner of the Flying Squirrels was like a Danny McBride character. He was so wild and Southern. It was hilarious and an awesome time. His name was Parney. He'd wear these crazy like disco bell bottoms, different wild pair of pants every game.
God, dude, that's hilarious.
Would do
dude.
crazy promotions and stuff. And the
Was
one
he an owner player?
kind of, but he didn't play or whatever. But just a crazy guy. Like he had crazy
I'm gonna
stories
put the
about.
uniform on. You guys don't gotta let me play. I'm just gonna get drunk on the bench.
He had so his office, like there was not his office, but like in the manager's office of the team, there was a giant bar, and that everyone would go hang out at. You'd hang out at the bar in the manager's office after the games. Parney would like share stories about like strip clubs in New Orleans and stuff. One of the big promotions he was famous for, and there's a giant photo framed in like the press box of it. He drove a motorcycle off a ramp through a flaming hoop at one of the games, like the 7th inning stretch or whatever. Like that is a wild, hilarious guy. One of the coolest things working there, after a game, you're hanging out in the press box or the manager's office that had the bar.
Yeah.
And it was like the manager's kid's birthday. So like this cake got brought out, and everyone's singing happy birthday to the manager's. This Dominican guy's like kid.
It's like Feliz cumpleaños, Sato.
And then the manager had to take a break, like right after that for a second. Kind of walks to the side, goes over towards the clubhouse, grabs a guy, and you see him tell a guy that he just got called up by the Giants and he's going to the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then you see like that moment, and you're like, oh, that guy's going to call his dad right now and tell him his dreams came true.
Yeah.
And like he's about to cry. His dad's about to. You're like, I'm crying watching this right now. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
I love minor league baseball, dude. I'm fucking.
Dude, I was the announcer
Earlier,
for
I was-
my high school team from freshman and sophomore year.
I'm wearing a Tennessee Smokies
That's
shirt
good.
right now. I
my
got
buddy usually
trash
wears,
pandas and
My buddy usually wears is it Stanford Yard Goats?
yeah, the Stanford Yard Goats, dude. Their
'Cause
mascots
Connecticut-
are demonic looking.
Nuts looking, pagan, very pagan.
They
pagan
look
looking.
like demonic Teletubbies.
Yep. Yeah, man, I love minor league baseball. I love baseball. I love sports. I definitely like. I definitely grew up loving sports and everything. Like I said, I was an announcer. I used to be like, now batting number 24, Rocco Baldo. You know what I mean? Like, that was my shit, dude. Like,
I've done that before. I grew up right near the Central Park baseball
fields. They didn't
fields.
give me any directions. They gave me a laptop with computers with with songs on it, and they're like, if you want to, you can. They're like, if you want to, you can play music. I'm like, I don't want to play music.
Yeah.
And then I found out what Pirate Bay was, and I would like use the computer laptop, like the school laptop that they gave me, and download songs to it.
Download discographies off of fucking Pirate Bay.
So like I fucking I would do songs for people. Like my one buddy was like, "Yo man, can you get me an ice cream paint job?" So my one buddy walks out. I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, rolling like a big shot." And it was nuts, dude. They were like, "No fucking way, Declan has this on right now." And I would be like, "Now batting number 28, Brandon Finelli."
Sick.
Oh yeah, dude. I had walk up songs. They were like, "Declan, can you announce?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he gave me the laptop, thinking I wasn't gonna do anything with it. He's like, "Just play songs in between innings." I'm like, "Yeah, sounds good." And then I started doing walk ups, and he was like, "This is awesome." I was like my freshman year, they did this thing where we went to Cooperstown. I think I might have told this story on here before, but I was a fucking weirdo. I had a Snuggie. And we rode like a team bus up to Cooperstown for this trip.
I would have given you so much shit for the Snuggie.
I know. I was asking for it. I was like, guys, come on, why do you like to make fun of me all the time?
That was one of my first open mic jokes. Was talking about how like I'm mad that the guy who invented the Snuggie is a billionaire. I'm like, he just put a bathrobe on backwards, and now he's richer than I'll ever be.
So someone call this being molested? I don't think so. I was a freshman, and the kid was a junior turning a senior, and he was like, "Yo, Declan, let me get your Snuggie." I'm like, "Brandon, you've been making fun of me with that for an hour." He's like, No, dude, let me get your Snuggie. Like, I'm serious. Like, let me get it. I'm like, all right, fuck you. You can have it. And so he uses it the rest of the way.
No.
All right, we get to the hotels. We're checked in later. He's like, "Yo, man," he texts me. He's like, "Yo, man, don't forget I have your Snuggie. Come up and get it." I was like, all right, sounds good. And I come up to get it.
Oh, he lured you.
He lured me.
No, he
I
pre-planned
come upstairs,
this.
and he's butt-ass naked in my Snuggie. I thought he was so he's in the Snuggie, standing up. He's like, "Here's your Snuggie." I'm like, "Dude, funny." I'm like, "Give me my fucking
With
Snuggie."
it on in the front or backwards like a cape, so the dong's
on the front. So he takes the Snuggie off.
He's poo-bearing in your Snuggie.
And he was naked in my Snuggie, and there was other people in the room like, I'm like, this is the gayest thing I've ever experienced.
Because they had all just played the cracker game.
Yeah, like, what just happened?
Oh, God.
I think you guys just all molested me.
Did you all just, like, jack off on a cracker and make the guy who fucking came last eat it?
Oh, my God, dude. It was, after it happened, he immediately was like, he immediately covered himself up with a pillow and was just like, "No, I'm just kidding." I'm like, "Dude," I'm gonna have to wash this now. He's like, "Yeah, thanks for letting me use it."
He totally came all over that.
And I hope he didn't. And I
100%
honestly,
did.
like, I took it home, but I never used it ever again.
I would have burned. I'd be like, "Dude, that's your Snuggie now. I'm actually going to go tell the teachers."
Yeah, I gave it to my mom. I was like, "You can use this."
I'm like,
It's covered in young boys'
I'm going to get you arrested somehow for this.
Yeah, man.
Caked in young boys'
He's a good dude. I like Brandon Finelli, but fuck that guy. I'm pretty sure he jerked off on my Snuggie.
I would have murdered him.
Yeah, right. Such a nice guy.
I would have choked him in his own cum-drenched Snuggie.
Yeah, we did the damn thing. This was a fun hang.
Dude, this was a great hang.
This was a very good one.
Covered a lot of fun topics.
Yeah, I
got some stuff for the page and the real people.
Yeah, man, I didn't even get to really talk about the bullshit I had happen to me this week. I'll probably just spew it out before I get that other episode out when I put it out. But
I'm sorry, this was a pretty self-centered episode over here.
No. This is what I do. I interview comics. I like to know the story. It's like my software underbelly of Philly comics and other people going on. I do it in, like, whatever city I visit, I try to hit somebody with an interview.
Well, hopefully mine was decent.
I liked it. Yeah, I had fun. Kidding me? This was a good hang. Dan Sherman, everybody. He's a very funny man. What's your socials?
Guys, you can follow me on the Instagram at dmac_laughs. And feel free to check out my website, dmaclaughs.com.
Nice, dude.
Got some dates, got some pictures.
You're even on Facebook, right? If you're on Facebook and that's how you book shows, find Dan on Facebook too and hit him up.
Yeah, Dan Sherman, Daniel Sherman. Might be Dan Felix Sherman on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, look for him, guys. He's a very funny man. He loves the Phillies. If you want to fucking talk Phillies with this guy, hit him up. He'll probably tell you to go fuck yourself. And Chase Utley was Jesus Christ reincarnated, so...
Dude, you're not wrong. I will definitely, for sure, at some point, probably tell you to go fuck yourself. and go Phils. That kind of sums me up very nicely.
Ring the fucking bell.
Oh,
Thank you very
we're all
much,
about
Dan.
ringing
This
the
was a
bell.
fun one, buddy.
I'm gonna ring the bell tonight.
Hell yeah, brother.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed that episode. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We would really appreciate the support. You can find us on any streaming platform if you want to find more episodes. We have over a year's worth of content stacked up waiting for you. If you also want to support us on our Patreon, you can go over to the Let Me Call You Back podcast on Patreon. Right now it's only $1 a month. It's a pretty great deal. I think you guys should get in while the getting's good. We got interviews from the road. We have video sets of me doing comedy. We have other different great content, so go over there and check it out. I would really appreciate that support. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can find my Instagram at Declan Loves Meatballs. You can also find Raymond at Ray_Brooks. And you can find the podcast at 555 Let Me Call You Back. Thank you very much. Please stay tuned for the next week's episode. You'll find one every week between Monday or Wednesday, depending on when I put them out. Thank you very much for your support, and see you next time.